After everything Henry had been through, he entered his second year of high school, and strangely, things were going well. Not perfectly, not easily, but better than before. The support he was supposed to receive finally arrived, and this time, Henry could buy the documents and books he needed. For once, he wasn't starting the school year empty-handed. He had notebooks, he had past exam papers, he had books, and most importantly, he had a reason to believe he could go further. At the end of the year, Henry was first in his class again, with a very good average. But even with the help he received, it still wasn't enough to cover all his needs. So Henry had to find another way, a way to earn money, without losing the time he needed to study. He still worked on weekends sometimes, doing small jobs to survive the week. But that year, something unexpected happened. A new source of income appeared, one he never imagined. Some of his former middle school teachers started calling him. They needed help correcting exam papers, tests, and assignments. At first, Henry was surprised. He was still a student, but they trusted him. One teacher handed him a pile of papers and said, "Henry, can you help me correct these?" Henry looked at the pile, then at the teacher. "Me? Yes, I know you can do it." That sentence stayed with him. For Henry, teaching was not just a job. It was something he loved. So correcting papers didn't feel like a burden. It felt like entering the world of education from the other side. He would sit in his room with piles of papers around him, red pen in hand, carefully checking answers, writing corrections, taking his time, but still working fast enough so every teacher could get their papers back on time. After each task, the teachers gave him a little money as a reward. Not much, but enough to help him survive. And to Henry, that mattered. During the same period, one of his high school math teachers also started giving him papers to correct. They were math tests from students in the first year of high school. Henry didn't just mark the answers. He prepared the correction sheets himself, step by step. Then he showed them to the teacher, who checked if everything was correct. Without knowing it, this helped Henry keep the lessons from previous years fresh in his mind. It made him stronger, more precise, more disciplined. Sometimes his room was full of papers, copies on the bed, copies on the table, copies on the floor. But Henry never refused when another teacher asked for help. Everything happened quietly. No noise, no attention, just trust and work. The teachers trusted him so much that they also asked him to help fill in students' report cards. Henry understood something during that time. When people trust you with small responsibilities, it can open doors you didn't even know existed. And every time he finished a task, he received something. A little money, a little respect, and a little more confidence. But most of all, he felt useful. At the same time, Henry and Celine were still talking. Even from far away, they studied together. They sent each other exercises, past exam papers, difficult questions. Sometimes their conversations were about school, sometimes about life. One evening, Henry received a message from her. "Celine, did you solve the exercise I sent?" Henry, "Not yet, but I will." Celine, "You always say that." Henry, "And I always solve it." For a while, it felt simple. They wrote to each other almost every day. Then one day, something changed. Celine told him they should stop for a while. Not forever, but for now. A pause. Henry read the message more than once. He didn't fully understand, but he didn't force anything. He simply accepted it. Because sometimes, even the things that make you happy can become uncertain. Still, Henry kept moving. He kept studying. He kept correcting papers. He kept doing every task with care. Because life had taught him something important. Whatever you do it well. Even when no one is watching. Even when you expect nothing in return. Henry could have corrected those papers carelessly. He could have rushed through them just to get paid. But he didn't. He took his time. He respected the work. And because of that, more teachers started asking for his help. Not because he was loud, not because he tried to impress them, but because he was reliable. And sometimes, being reliable is what makes people remember you. Henry was still young, still struggling, still trying to survive. But little by little, his discipline was becoming his reputation. Henry had reached his final year of high school, the year that would decide everything. His last chance to earn his baccalaureate. From the outside, everything seemed to be going well. The support from the organization arrived once again. It was the third and final year of the scholarship. Their mission had always been to support students throughout high school. This would be the last time Henry received it. He was still correcting exam papers for teachers, still helping prepare answer keys, still filling in report cards. Every task earned him a little money. Every little amount helped him survive. But this year, his biggest challenge wasn't money. It was the future. Henry studied harder than ever before. Some nights, he didn't sleep at all. He stayed awake until sunrise, reading, solving problems, memorizing formulas, preparing for the biggest exam of his life. His dream was clear. He wanted to study medicine or mathematics. Those were the subjects he loved most. And deep inside, he wanted to prove that he could compete with the brilliant students he had met during the national excursion. He no longer wanted to simply admire them. He wanted to become one of them. But every time he thought about university, another voice interrupted his dreams. How am I going to survive? University wasn't in his town. It was hundreds of kilometers away in the capital city. He would have to leave everything behind, rent a room, pay expensive registration fees, buy books, pay rent every month, find a job, study, work, eat, survive. How could one person do all of that? Those questions slowly filled his mind until they became louder than his lessons. Sometimes he opened a book, but his thoughts were somewhere else. There was another problem, one that seemed small, but hurt more than people would imagine. At school, everyone wore uniforms. Henry only needed one or two. Sometimes they were torn. Sometimes they were worn out. Sometimes he felt embarrassed. But he had no choice. He wore them anyway, because studying mattered more than appearances. But university would be different. There would be no uniform. People would wear whatever they wanted. Henry looked down at his clothes. How many outfits do I even have? How will I buy shoes? What will people think? Little by little, the future became heavier than the present. He started overthinking everything. Sometimes, he couldn't even study properly anymore. Not because he wasn't capable, but because his mind was carrying too much. The strange thing was that nobody noticed. Outside, Henry still smiled. He still looked calm. He still looked like the quiet student everyone respected. No one knew the battles happening inside his head. There was something Henry never did. He never blamed anyone. Not his mother, who had left this world far too early. Not his father, who had left him alone in the village. Not his brothers, who wanted to help but couldn't. Instead, he blamed himself. He kept telling himself, maybe I'm just not working hard enough. Because deep down, he believed he could only rely on himself. But there were nights when that belief wasn't enough. There were moments when Henry wished, more than anything, that his mother were still alive. Not to solve his problems, just to listen, to let him speak, to tell him everything he had been carrying alone. Sometimes he wanted to cry, but he didn't, because he believed tears wouldn't change his situation. So he stayed silent and carried the weight alone. Through all of it, one thought never left him, one promise. My children will never live this life. That dream became stronger than his fear. Everything he studied, every sleepless night, every sacrifice was no longer just for him. It was for the family he hoped to build one day. A future where his children would never have to choose between education and survival. Henry learned something that year. You rarely understand the value of something until you've lost it. If your parents are still by your side, if they encourage you, if they provide for you, treasure them. Tell them you love them. Because there are people who would give anything just to have one more conversation with their mother. Henry never got that chance, and that absence became one of the greatest motivations of his life. Sometimes, the hardest battles are the... Henry had spent the entire year preparing for one moment, the final exam. The exam that could change his life. Despite all the worries about the future, he never allowed them to stop him from studying. He had worked too hard to give up now. During that time, Henry and Celine were still talking, not as they once had. Their conversations had become simpler. They still exchanged exercises, past exam papers, study tips. But somewhere along the way, Henry made a quiet decision. To protect his own heart, he stopped thinking of Celine as his girlfriend. Instead, he chose to see her as a friend. Not because he stopped caring, but because sometimes acceptance hurts less than hope. Finally, exam week arrived. Students from different schools were sent to another city to take the national exam together. Everything seemed normal until that morning. Henry reached into his bag, then into his pocket, then every notebook. His heart suddenly stopped. His school identification card was gone. He searched everywhere, again and again. Nothing. Panic rushed through his body. No, not today. When he arrived at the examination center, the teachers asked for his school ID. Henry lowered his head. I lost it. Some of the teachers didn't know him. To them, he was just another student making excuses. One teacher frowned. How can someone be this irresponsible? Another shook his head. You chose today, of all days, to lose your ID? Every word felt heavier than the last. Henry wanted to explain, but there was no teacher from his own school there to confirm who he was. So they made him wait, outside. Inside the examination hall, the mathematics exam had already begun. 2 hours. The subject Henry loved most. The subject he had spent countless sleepless nights preparing for. Henry stood outside the building, watching the minutes disappear. 1, 5, 10, 20, 30. Each minute felt like another piece of his dream slipping away. For the first time in years, Henry felt completely powerless. His eyes filled with tears. He had sacrificed so much for this moment. And now, it seemed like all those sacrifices would disappear because of one missing card. Henry closed his eyes. Although he wasn't Christian, although he wasn't Muslim, he still believed that somewhere God was listening. Silently, he prayed, "Please, don't let this be the end." A few moments later, the president of the examination board arrived. After listening to the situation, he looked at Henry for a few seconds. Then he said, "Let him take the exam." Those words felt like life itself. Henry whispered, "Thank you." He entered the classroom. 30 minutes had already passed. Every student looked up. Even the invigilators stared at him. Some were curious. Some looked surprised. Others probably thought, "He's already failed." Henry sat down, took a deep breath, opened the paper, and began writing. Fast, very fast. There was no time to waste. It felt like trying to complete a 2-hour race in only 90 minutes. His pen barely stopped moving. Page after page, question after question, formula after formula. His hand hurt, but he kept going. When the time ended, Henry had answered almost everything. He wished he had those missing 30 minutes back. But deep inside, he knew he had given everything he had. The rest of the exams went smoothly. Then came the longest wait of all, the results. On the day the results were announced, students crowded around the notice board. Names, scores, celebrations, silence. Henry slowly walked closer. His eyes searched the list. Then he found his name. He stared at it. Once, twice, just to make sure. He hadn't only passed. He had finished first in the entire examination center. The same student who had almost been sent home. The same student some teachers had called irresponsible. The same student everyone had doubted. Finished first. Henry smiled. Not because he wanted revenge, but because his work had spoken louder than their words. People may misunderstand you. They may judge you. They may underestimate you. Don't waste your energy arguing. Let your results speak for you. Because success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you never gave up. As students celebrated around him, Henry quietly folded the results paper and placed it inside his bag. He looked up at the sky, smiled, and whispered, "Mom, I did it." But celebration didn't last long, because another question quickly took its place. What happens now? University, rent, food, registration fees, books, a job. Everything he had feared months earlier was now becoming reality. He had worked hard enough to earn the grades, but grades alone couldn't pay for the future. Then, something happened that Henry never saw coming. A wealthy man from his region had heard about his results. He saw Henry's grades. He heard about his story, and he decided to help. Not with money, with something even greater, a chance. He wanted to help Henry apply for a scholarship to study abroad. For a few seconds, Henry couldn't believe what he had just heard. After years of worrying, a door he never even knew existed opened. The following weeks were filled with paperwork, passport applications, official documents, interviews, signatures. Some days, everything seemed to go smoothly. Other days, it felt like everything was falling apart. Every obstacle looked like it could end the dream. But one by one, they found solutions. Then one day, Henry received the news. He had been accepted. He had earned a scholarship to study abroad. He smiled, not because life had suddenly become easy, but because for the first time, the future looked bigger than his fears. He called his brothers. "I'll be leaving the country soon." There was silence, then happiness. They had watched him fight for years. Now, they finally saw one of those battles opening a new path. The government covered his visa and airplane ticket. A few weeks later, Henry boarded an airplane for the very first time. As the aircraft rose above the clouds, he looked out of the window. His village became smaller until it disappeared completely. He whispered to himself, "A new chapter begins." Henry realized something later. For years, he had spent countless nights worrying about tomorrow. But tomorrow had always belonged to God. The only thing that truly belonged to him was today. He learned that the best way to prepare for the future is to be faithful in the present. Do today's work well. Tomorrow will arrive by itself. Sometimes, God opens doors that your anxiety could never imagine. When Henry arrived abroad, older students welcomed the newcomers. They helped them find apartments. At first, everything seemed exciting. A new country, new people, a new language, a new culture, a new beginning. But the excitement didn't last long. Henry discovered that his class had already been studying for a month. He was already behind. But catching up academically never frightened him. He had done it before. His real battle returned almost immediately. Money, rent, electricity, food. Everything had a price. Back home, life had been difficult, but nature had always helped. You could gather firewood, you could grow vegetables, you could survive in ways that weren't possible here. Now, almost everything had to be bought. Within his first week, after paying deposits and basic expenses, his pocket was empty. He looked at the few coins he had left and smiled quietly. Another mountain. There was nobody back home he could call for money. He refused to give up, but he didn't know where the answer would come from. Then, once again, God surprised him. He was introduced to an uncle living abroad, a man Henry had never met. He wasn't wealthy, but he had a generous heart. After listening to Henry's situation, he simply said, "I'll help you." That support allowed Henry to pay his debts, his rent, his bills, and breathe again. Henry never forgot that kindness. The scholarship provided some money too, enough to cover about 1 month's rent. Everything else depended on how wisely he managed what he had. So Henry became even more careful. He remembered where he came from. He didn't compare himself to others. He didn't chase appearances. He chased progress. University was different. Henry was no longer first in every class. The competition was stronger. But he continued finishing among the best students. For him, that was enough. Because success wasn't about defeating everyone. It was about becoming better than yesterday. Living abroad changed him. He discovered different cultures, different ways of thinking, different ways of speaking, different dreams. He made new friends, read dozens of personal development books, learned to strengthen not only his knowledge, but also his mindset. His life abroad wasn't easy. In many ways, it reminded him of the village. The only difference was that now, he also had rent to pay. Yet, he was grateful, because every difficulty taught him something. 2 years later, Henry completed his preparatory classes. He passed the competitive entrance examination and entered an engineering program. Another dream, another step, but not the destination. Because Henry's biggest goals were still ahead. Today, he is still studying, still working, still building projects, still dreaming. His greatest wish is no longer simply to succeed. It is to become the kind of person who can help others, the way others once helped him. The wealthy man who opened a door, the teachers who trusted him, the organization that believed in him, the uncle who helped him when he had nothing. One day, Henry wants to become that person for someone else.
The threshold's getting warm.
What can we learn from Henry's story? Henry's journey isn't a story of perfection. It's a story of perseverance. If there's one lesson his life teaches, it's this. Some people begin life with advantages. Others begin with almost nothing. And some begin below zero. You don't get to choose where you start, but you do get to choose whether you keep moving. Don't waste your life blaming your circumstances. Accept reality, then work to change it. Not everyone is born with wealthy parents, but you can work toward becoming the parent your children will be proud of. Poverty does not guarantee success, but it can teach resilience. It can teach gratitude. It can teach discipline. And if success comes, you'll understand the value of every dollar you've earned. You'll also understand the value of helping others, because you'll never forget what it felt like to need help yourself. Henry also learned another lesson early in life. Don't let relationships distract you from your purpose. Feelings come and go, but the person you become will shape the rest of your life. Build your future first. The right people will respect the person you become. Henry's story doesn't end here, because Henry hasn't reached his dreams yet. He's still writing them. One day, we'll come back to tell you what happened next. But for now, this is where his story pauses. Thank you for walking this journey with him. And beginning with the next video, we will share someone else's story, because every person carries a story worth telling. Until next time, take care of your present and let tomorrow take care of itself.
I found a withered petal by the door.